Welcome back, guys. This is an unofficial episode of the Blacklovesmiths. In case you guys missed Joe's live interview with He Said, She Said last week, there's some strong language, so just be advised. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the Blacklovesmiths. Thank you.
All right.
All right, we good?
We good. Ain't no echo, nothing. Look, all you got to do is teach Aries one time. Just one time.
Listen, that's it. We to get it done, crew. We get it done.
Most people really understood that. They don't really get it. I'm about to start sharing this video. I'm gonna turn the volume down on it. And thank you everybody for watching, and everybody who watched last week. This is a part 2 of the conversation we had last week regarding toxic parenting, and not just toxic parenting, but we actually drifted off on a few different things. But the primary focus was toxic parenting and how toxic parenting from our parents actually affect us, and how we overcome it, and things of that nature. So we felt like that was something, important to talk about, because we do deal with generational trauma, and we deal with generational trauma on a level that's not appreciated enough, I don't think. I feel like there should be more conversations about how to heal our generational trauma and how to stop our generational trauma. And what we're going to talk about today, at least a large part of it, is how we stop the generational trauma from coming to our kids, and a lot of that generational trauma that they receive isn't actually from us directly. Sometimes it's from family members and things like that. And what do we do to prevent that from happening without, ostracizing our kids from our family? What do we do with that? So, it's a definitely a multi-layered conversation that, again, needs discussion. But one of the things that I also wanted to do in this conversation is kind of just take a look back at, one of the things that I always say about raising my children is that we often fall into the trap of trying to not have, trying to give our kids what we didn't have, instead of being able to give them the things that they want, because we didn't get what we wanted. It's two different things. And I think with that being said, I feel like that should be a large part of the conversation that we have today. So before we go on, I want to know if everybody that's watching right now, or like 15 people, if everybody has the website to buy Rain's book and or my book. I want to put a yes or no in the comments right now if you have the website where you can buy my book or Rain's book. I want to see people put that in right now. I'm going to repeat that one more time. I want to see if you, by raise of hands, or yes or no, if you have the website where you can buy Rain's book and my book. And while everybody's trying to figure out if they have the website to do so, I want to know what your takeaways were from the conversation that we had last week.
Yeah, I think we had a really strong conversation last week, which was really, really, really dope. That we kind of went over the diaspora of different things, but I think still one of the main things that I found really strong was that when we were talking about how what we do, what we choose for ourselves, being the result of our parents and what we see in our parents, and that portion of it was really big. And even how you and I decided that if the women were concerned about the men, and you said something really profound where you said you think that women of color have it 4 times harder than the men of color. And I said, well, as a woman, I feel like the men of color have it 4 times harder than the women of color. And if we all felt that way, then we would have better communication, I think, between parents in general. And we can kind of, the communication, if we can get to that before we even get the children here, then I think that would help us end toxic parenting as a whole, because it would end toxic partnerships. And I think that's where a lot of toxic parenting comes from. So I thought that was the strongest part of that conversation, amongst many other things that we talked about. But in terms of this topic, which I really want to stick to, because we did run around a little bit last time, that was really strong for me.
I mean, we got a lot of things to talk about, right? Especially during
Yeah,
this day and age. But I like what you said. Like, a lot of our trauma comes from toxic relationships. But the
Mm-hmm.
toxic relationship isn't always husband and wife. Sometimes it's mother and child.
Yep.
A lot of times it's brother and sister. And one thing that listen, my family, a lot of people got issues. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, one of the things that I realized that they realized was, no matter what, you got to stay true to your family. You got to stay true to your family, and staying true to your family. Even when you guys don't get along, like, I can bother you all day, but you can't bother my sister. You can't bother my brother. Like that. That makes a big dividend, in what and I think in but as I'm thinking about it, it actually may mess up some relationships as well.
I was
Like,
gonna say,
because you feel like you gotta put up with somebody's shit when you don't have to. Yeah, so
I
that
will
was
say I can't do that. I'm loyalist to my blood, and that didn't work out for me. That proved to be some of the most toxic, most manipulative relationships in my life. That didn't work out. As much as I love family, as much as I talk about around family restoration, I really wish I could have restored my family. My family, especially on my maternal side, is probably the most toxic relationships I've ever witnessed in my life. And for those reasons, I've had to cut family off before I've cut love related family members off. And it's not easy. That thing hurts, but it is something necessary. And I did that for my son so I could be a better parent to my son. I did that for my child, you know. Toxic parenting is a thing that we have to do, where what you started off with was how I felt today too, where we say we want to do better than our parents, and that's not good enough. It's because doing better than what your parents did for you is treating your children like you want it to be treated. That's not how that's going to work when your child is not you. Exactly. Your child is not you. I can deal with my mother and her mother yelling and possibly fighting and cleaning up some blood later. I can deal with that. My son cannot tolerate that. He cannot take it. He's just a totally different creature. Raising my voice is enough to make him cry. That's enough. For me, that wasn't the case. You could raise your voice all day. I was one of them, one of these. Right?
What you gonna do?
Like, so what is you gonna do though? Because I hear you, but what are you gonna do? And so that I was that kid. So raising my voice was not gonna work for me, especially when it was consistent when I was growing up. It was all we heard. So you mute it out after a while. But and in that trying to be a better parent idea, we really do sometimes miss the mark on our children. And I did that early on in my parenting, where I was trying to just do better than I was treated as a child to my son, give him some choices and opportunities that I didn't have in the household, maybe to talk, maybe to be heard, and all of those things I would try to do for him.
Yeah. But I feel like that's in my opinion, that's one of the most important things is to let your kids be heard, because I was raised with that, be seen, not heard. You know what I'm saying? Like, go, you separate the kids, shit. We had our own room, which is my room back in the day, but we had our own room. Y'all play in there. Now, I'm not saying that kids should be mingling with adults. I don't believe in that either. But I feel like there are some instances where I've been taught by my older two daughters, like, even my son for that matter. And my son, he speaks still not like baby talk, but some of that should be gibberish. You know what the hell are you talking about? And but when you really listen to him, he know what the hell he be talking about. And I feel like you gotta give your kids that room to be able to be heard. And I started doing that with my daughter because I never felt like I was heard. I always felt like I was talking on deaf ears. But then it took me to be completely honest, I would listen to her, and then I'd be like, I don't give a fuck what you just said. You still got to do what I said anyway. Instead of being like, you know what I mean? Instead of being like, all right, so what's the real issue here? You know what I mean? And then once I started really listening to her, not just hearing her out, that kind of changed our relationship and then the perspective of the both of us. But with that being said, my first question to you is, what toxic behavior did you normalize,
Mm.
but you didn't realize it was toxic behavior until you seen your son do it?
Mm. Wow. Okay. Oh, that's tricky. That I didn't realize until I saw my son do it. I
Me,
think,
it was.
yeah.
This is what the example that I give people. You never know how many curses a song has until you're listening to it with your ears, little kid. Hear that? Oh, we can't say that.
Mm.
No, you be like, fuck these bitches and fuck these hoes, and then you be in the car bumping, and you be like, now let me put some gospel on right quick. I'm wild, and where Kirk Franklin? Then he be cursing a lot too. Where I need one of them sisters. Where all them sisters? I need one of them sisters.
You know what? I wish I had a better example for it. And in that way, I didn't do too bad. I'm not gonna lie, because my son is a freaking angel compared to me. I think it was more about I think I normalized strength in a very aggressive, almost like force, like I gotta say everything real strong. And my son taught me it's not necessary. I think that is more or less, he didn't mimic me though. So it wasn't, I didn't see it in him. I saw him do it without doing that. So, just little things like, mommy, well, you didn't have to say it like that. And he was little. He was like maybe like 3 years old. And I would say, go sit down. And because that's how I know I don't want to hit you, but I know I got a voice. I'll roar at you, go sit down. And then he would be like, he would start crying. What you crying for? And he would be like, your voice. And it was that one moment where it was like, he was like, your voice, mommy. And that's where I realized, you know what? You're right. Because when they used that voice on me, I felt some kind of way. And my mother was a pioneer in my family because she was the first not to hit her children. So my mother, she did not spank us. My mother smacked me one time because I lost my little brother. And I yelled at her. And then I think we got into a fight when I got a little older, but that was over some drug stuff. But most of the time, my mom
so
never ever hit us.
Oh, there was some drug shit,
Yeah, it was, my life.
Shit, how
I love her though for that, because she taught us different ways. And right now, my son is in a you're grounded phase. Like, I never was grounded. Like, I just got beat. You know what I mean? But I'd be like, go to your room. You're in your room, 72 hours lockdown, and it works. I don't know anything about it.
Well, remember we talked about this last week. Kids is different.
Yeah.
Like, punishment didn't work for my oldest daughter. It worked for my youngest daughter and my son.
Mm-hmm.
But my oldest daughter, punishment's not working. Like, the worst punishment I ever gave her was like, I made her throw out her favorite doll with just the heads of the doll.
Oh wow!
But she wilded out though. Like, I took her to Disneyland, all types of. Yeah, I took her to Disneyland. We had all types of fun. And the teacher told me she cursed his ass out. I ain't doing none of that shit. Fuck out of here. That's what she said to the teacher, verbatim.
Oh, okay.
I was like, oh, so I just spent all this money for you to go to Disneyland, and this is how you gonna talk to the teacher when you come back? I got something for that ass. So I was like, I don't like to beat my kids. I don't spank my kids when I'm mad. Like, and I was mad. So I was like, I got something for you. And I said, go pick your favorite dolls. And she picked the whack ones, the ones, the dolls with the messed up hair and they ain't got no clothes on them. No. Right. I was like, I need these pretty ones with the hair done up, with the favorite outfit. I said, matter of fact, don't even throw out the whole doll. I said, just throw out the head.
Oh, wow, Dad.
Cried. No, I don't want to do it. I said, well, yo, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get this, I'm going to knock you upside the head till you see tomorrow. What you want to do? But that was like one of the few punishments I ever gave my daughter. Other than that, I had to really grab her around her neck a lot. And at some point, even that didn't work. You know what I'm saying? I had to realize I had to reason with her. But that didn't play well with my ego.
Let me ask you, because I know that we Aries go from 0 to 180. It's not even to 100. And so I want to know, how did you feel as a father in terms of her future perspective on males touching her?
Well, that's why I haven't like spanked my daughter since before she was 7. Mm-hmm. And no, I lied. One time, Like she got suspended for cursing at a teacher. Again, she was like 11.
Mm-hmm.
Like 11 at this time. That's probably the last time I spanked her.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the only time I had spanked her from before, like from 7 to 11. That was only one time. So she got from 7, she got one spanking. Other than that, is hands around the collar, stop playing.
Yeah, you yoke her up.
Now I do think about that, and I feel like spanking in general is so subjective because it depends on the kid and the parent and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, it does.
The reason why I did think about what you're saying though, because I was like, I don't want her to think that it's okay for even in the man to yoke her up like this. He loves me though because he's putting me in check, and I see a lot of women say that. Like I know a lot of women when I put my foot down with some shit like, nah, we're not doing that. Okay, Dad. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, Dad, you do whatever you want. It's like, I get it.
I ain't never calling no man daddy.
Well, I didn't mean I was saying daddy for
they do that.
a specific thing. But what I'm saying is, and I don't like it when a woman call me daddy unless, we're in the bedroom. And then even then, it could be weird.
Listen,
it could be weird in the bedroom sometimes too.
Yeah.
But right. But what I'm trying to say is, at the end of the day, I did have that thought of, damn, I don't want my daughter to feel like it's okay for somebody to beat on her and they call it love and the same thing, which is why I kind of made it clear, like after 7, I'm not really putting my hands on her. Don't get me wrong. Like some of the reasons why I put my hands on my kids, after 7, I would put my hands on an adult for the same reason. I'm just gonna keep it real with you. Like, for and like there was one time my 9-year-old did something over the summer last year, and I was like, yo, or was it like this winter? I was like, if you was a man, I would have punched you in your face. Because why did you just do that? Why did you do that? And I had to grab her around her shoulders, like, what the hell is wrong with you? Yeah. But I didn't put my hands on her, I didn't grab her around the collar. I was just like, you need to know that I'm here. Yeah. But I feel like one of the things that I did notice was that some of the reason why I even wanted to yoke my kid up was a lot of it was my ego. Yeah. Because it was like, you're not listening to what I want. And I realized that with my oldest daughter, I got to negotiate more. Right. With my 9-year-old, we have to have a conversation of understanding. Sometimes the understanding is you need to understand how mad I am right now. With my 3-year-old, I have to have, it's kind of both. I have to negotiate with him, and he has to have a certain level of understanding. So there's certain times where he's bing, 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 and I'm like, yo, sit down. I don't like to have to ask you to do something more than 3 times. But instead of smacking him beside the head, like I told you to sit down, I typically have to go and grab him. Not like forcefully, but just to get him to stop. Look at Daddy. Daddy needs you to sit down real quick. Okay, Daddy. But you go sit down.
Live with you? I know that's
I share custody with all. Well, I mean, like I said, my oldest daughter have custody of her. Like, and the youngest 2, we don't have none of that court shit. But my kids live with me maybe 46% of the time, like almost half the time.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. I'm just asking because I know children, like my son, when he started to, because I had to actually fight for him to see his dad. Some people be like, he don't want to see him, fine with me. But for me, I wanted him to know who his father was because that to me would balance him. Some of those things don't come from me, right? Some of the things about you don't come from me. But what I learned was when he would go visit his dad, he would come home and that would be his worst behavioral moments. Like really.
I had that.
Wow.
I had to call it the recalibrating. You had to recalibrate.
I would have to do the whole week, D, and I would be ready to throw my son against the wall. Like,
because he was getting away with certain behavior. Listen, I'm going to keep it real. My 17-year-old dude now, like, we were together this past weekend, and the weekend before that. But if I don't see my daughter for about 2 weeks, I guarantee you, within the first 6 or 7 hours, there's a who you think you're talking to like that.
Oh my gosh.
And then I'm sorry, Daddy, I didn't mean nothing by it. Like, yo, my daughter said something to me a couple months ago. She wanted to be sarcastic or whatever, and then I told her straight up, I don't let adults talk to me like that. Chill out.
I ain't one of your little.
But I didn't mean it like that. I don't care how you meant it. Just know that don't do it again. That's the end of that. Because sometimes your kid feel like, and I ain't gonna listen. I told my baby mom the story recently about how one day I was tight with my pops, and he was dead ass wrong. I don't give a fuck. He was wrong as shit. I tell him now to his face, you was dead wrong for what you did.
They be wrong.
But I said some shit under my breath, and I ain't know he heard me. So I'm like, I thought you said we was gonna go there and do X, Y, and Z. He was like, well, we not going now. So I was like, man, you a fucking faggot, yo. And I went and got up out the car. I didn't know he heard me. I just felt somebody. So I walk up 2 flights of steps, or to the second floor. It's really 4 flights of steps. And I walked down that long ass hallway to my room. You know, them old apartments all the way down. And then I felt somebody breathing on my neck. And I turned around. This nigga pushed me across my room. And was like, you ever call me something like that again, I'll kill you, right? So there are some times where your parent gotta let you know, like, chill out. Yeah. Like one time, I called my uncle Bati boy. I didn't know it meant faggot though. I didn't know it meant that. I thought it meant just like, yo, whatever, like whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I was young, so I didn't really know. And my uncle grabbed me up and was like, yo, bro, you ever call me some shit like that again, I will fuck you up. And then tell your pops to fuck you up so that he can fuck you up. That's what he said to me. And I'm like, what did I do? But you know what, Bati boy, I was like, what that mean? I thought that mean like, you're a sucker. He said, no, I mean, you're a faggot. I was like, oh, if I had known.
You know what it is? In all of that, like we're saying, we want to hear the kids, right? You want to have a relationship with the kids where the kids can talk to you and they can feel comfortable. But then there's that line, like,
Oh, no. Well, I never said that though. I don't mind having a relationship with my kids. Trust me, I can have conversations with my kids. I don't ever want you to think I'm your friend.
Right. That's what I was getting at. Yep.
We're not friends.
That's what I was getting
at. That happen. My oldest daughter, her mom, that's an issue. They want to be friends. I'm not my mother's friend. I'm not my dad's friend. And I'm a grown-ass man. I'm about to be 40 in 3 years. We are not equal.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong. I had to chastise. Had to chastise my mom yesterday. Not really like I had to but I was like, yo, you wrong for that. You should have did better. And she was like, you know what, you right. So sometimes I'll check my parents because we're adults, right? But I do it as an adult, not yelling, not screaming, not talking over one another. It's like, yo, you were wrong. My pops, end of January, I had to be like, yo, you did some sucker shit, B. Like I asked you a question and you just act like I didn't ask you that question. I said, yo, I'm your 40-year-old son, not just your son. Don't bullshit me. Right. He was like, what do you mean? I broke it down to him. All right, then we had an adult conversation.
Right.
But I'm not about to wild out and be like, man, you ain't shit, or you bum ass nigga. I'm not talking to my parents like that. You know what I mean? Right. Because I understand we not friends.
Right.
We not. So yeah, I want to have a line of communication. I want my kids to trust me with anything. Even though they know I'm going to be mad, I still got your back. I want that to be the dialogue because I feel like it's too polarizing in the Black community as parents, from my perspective, right? You either it's like you're so mean and we're never friends and you always kind of got to cower to your parent, or y'all too close. Y'all smoking together and drinking together and shit like that. I've had drinks at the same party or at the same dinner my mom and dad has had a drink, but we're not drinking together. That's a different. I'm not coming with my mom with the, yo, hi, mom, you get what I'm saying? What we talking about, smoke this blunt. We're not doing that.
Ever seen me drink? I don't think either one of my parents have ever seen me drink. One, I don't drink much anyway, but I don't think either one of my parents have ever seen me with a drink in my hand. I just not, even if I don't care if it's New Year. Like, I don't know, when my parents come around, it's just, and we've been through a lot, you know, and me and my parents have been through a lot, but I just can't do that.
That's the difference between a level of respect and fear.
Right.
This is what I do with my friends.
Right.
We're not friends.
Right.
So when I'm with my parents, I might, wet the whistle a little bit, get a little glass of wine or something. I'm an adult. I can do that. But we not about to both be drunk together. Like, nah, I don't want to have that relationship with my mom and dad. That's just me.
Yeah.
And I also don't ever want that my kids to have that relationship with me. My daughter gonna be 21 in 4 years. You think I want to see her drunk?
Right.
Hell no. The problem she gonna have with me if she come home drunk is gonna be, I don't want, and this is a different topic.
It is.
I'm just giving it as an example.
It is. When you get there, tag me in.
I don't want my woman coming home drunk.
No.
And
As a
I
woman,
don't say my woman
I
as a
don't see
possession.
the value
All
in
those
women being
people
drunk in public.
who want to be, oh, you misogynistic. No, no, no. I don't want the woman that I'm with to come home drunk. Sober up a little bit before you come in the house.
I
I
don't
don't want to
see
be
the value
home
in women being,
drunk.
and I'm a woman. I don't, and people get on me all the time because I believe in gender roles very highly. There's no way we can. My son is a king. He's going to be a king. He's going to marry a queen. I don't think that women should be drunk in public. That's just personally my thing. If you got a bachelorette party and you're in the safety of a home with your closest friends, and you guys are sleeping there for the night, and you want to go all the way in, to me, that's fine. But the fragility, to me, of the beauty and the grace of a woman cannot be compromised in public by alcohol. That, to me, is not something that I think we should ever do. Like that, to me, I just
Like I said before,
that ever being okay.
That's a different conversation.
It is. It is. It is.
So the next thing I wanted to ask you was, and you kind of mentioned this, and we segued and digressed a whole lot. But basically, you were saying that your son is, and how you speak to him kind of made you realize that some of the behavior that you had that you thought was normal was toxic. Are there any other ways that your child made you identify toxic behaviors within yourself?
Yeah, like we when we're trying to lecture our children, you know how you give them examples, and I could tell just from the way that you speak about certain situations, you might come up with 8,000 cuss words about a certain situation, and it might even be like you'll say something like, "You out here acting stupid as fuck." You know what I'm saying? You might say that to your kid. My son can't tolerate it because to him it sounds like I called him stupid. I don't know why he feels like that, but because you know what it is? Why I don't understand it is because I didn't treat him how I was treated, right? So his foundation, when he was smaller,
his
is not.
law is different from your law.
Yeah.
The concept is different. Now I get it.
Yeah, it's like you said last week. You didn't get it nearly as bad as me. It's something that a lot of parents believe, right? Like, boy, I didn't throw you down the stairs. I was thrown down my stairs. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't have that. You all right? All I told you was get your behind in there for I whoop you. You know what I'm saying? Or I will punch you in the face. Like I've said those things to him. And for him, they crush his spirit in a whole different way than, me getting popped in the mouth by my grandmother. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that's disrespectful. You ain't had to hit me though. I don't like being touched. Like, that's my thing. But for him, is you don't have to talk to me like that, Ma. I heard you the first time. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's him. It's a whole different level for me because I'm like, I needed you to know that I was serious, but you actually love your mama so much that if I just say I'm serious, you understand that.
You know what? I like what you said though. How you say you mentioned that when your child like hears you, it makes you act a little bit differently because you had to realize that he's not you, but not just because he's a different person, but because he was raised different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know if my dad ever thought I was soft, but the fact that my dad used to tell me I got it way worse than you, he probably thought I was soft a little bit. Cause I'm like, well, what the hell? He probably claimed for it. Like you ever got beat and motherfucker told you couldn't cry?
Yes.
You like, but you're literally hitting me and this shit hurts and you're an adult. And I can't even cry. So I'm thinking like maybe he had to put up with that. You got to get this boom, 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 and don't ever shed a tear. Now, I don't let my kids cry for two things. When they're wrong, you're wrong. I don't want to see no tears because you shouldn't be sad. Learn from this. And if you just being dramatic, like the Tyler, ain't nothing wrong with you, and they do like this real quick, and like the tears go back in their eyes, like you knew you was bullshitting. Don't do that. The only time I don't let my kids cry, if you hurt, if you're sad, if you're mad, like let those tears out, right? I couldn't cry if I was hurt, dead ass hurt. Come on, man up, yo, you got it. Walk it off, nigga. I'm bleeding. I think I might need stitches. Walk it off. What the fuck you mean walk this off?
And that's because we were born. When I'm a girl, and they did it the opposite way. I better hear you, like you better scream, because I wasn't gonna cry. You know what I'm saying? But when you don't cry, then they treat you like a slave. You know what I'm saying? Because you a girl. You know, so it was like, oh, you this don't hurt you. This don't hurt you. My grandmother was
yeah.
She was abused, especially on me, because her and my mother's dynamic was so bad, you know. So it was like, you will not be your mother. So she thought she could beat my mother out of me before I even got started. And I was strong. I was strong, am strong. But when I was younger, they would say like, oh, you know, JoJo, you know, they call me things like brazen, but then they also call me really sensitive, because I would get upset about the smallest of things because I don't understand why it had to be like that, right? But then when I was getting beaten, it was like, you know, when I wouldn't cry, and my older brother too, Robert was a pro at not crying. But when I wouldn't cry, then it got worse. It would get worse. So now you fake cry. So she can hurry up and get done. You know, so you beating me with the belt or the extension cord, or you know, I'm getting out the tub. You know what I'm saying? She thought that was cute. That's not funny.
Nah. That never happened to me. But I know some cousin who got it like that though.
Yeah, welts all up and down your leg.
Get out the tub. It's a dub. I'm like, damn, out the tub, son. So somebody asked us, how is it that we were punished to chest out? I think we gave up that answer a little while ago.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you do constantly to prevent the toxicity that you were raised into? How do you prevent that from becoming a thing? So how do you prevent the toxicity from seeping into your son through your ancestors, or from your ancestors through you?
It's hard because honestly and truthfully, I feel disappointed in my rearing a lot. You know, that's if I'm being 100% vulnerable and authentic.
I understand exactly what you mean.
I have every time I say or do something to correct my son, I question whether or not I did the right thing. Every time. It's not even like every time. I'm really hard on myself because you know what, D? It doesn't matter how well I do as his mom, he's gonna think I effed up. Because every kid, when they get older, thinks their parents could have did better. Every time. And being a perfectionist, it's like I really wish he won't have anything negative to say. But I can't prevent that. He's going to, because of his perception being so different than mine, he's not going to understand why I did what I did. You know what I mean? And I try to explain. I'm a very big, I over explain why you were on punishment, why mommy, you know, when I popped him, why I would pop him. You know, I would over explain. So one time I punched my son dead in the chest, right? Bomb. And then I started crying immediately and explaining it to him with tears falling down my face. And the reason.
Oh, go ahead, finish it. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I got a question. My question is, how do you explain to your son who you are and why you do what you do?
Yeah, that's it right there. That's hard. That's the part I struggle with, right? Because I have to then admit who his grandmother is, and who his great grandmother is, and who his grandfather is. And they are removed from that life 37 years. You know what I'm saying? Or not 37 years. Let's just go from 18 when I moved out on my own and do my own thing. So, you know, 22 years or so, whatever. I don't even care to do my math. 25 years, whatever. I don't know. But for however many years, that's 15 years, 15. You doing whatever you doing. 19 years, y'all. 19 years, okay?
We can get the math right later.
Yeah, you doing your thing, you living your life, and you're healing. You're becoming a better person. My mother is a totally different person than she was when she was my mother. She's an awesome grandmother. Mima is the shit, okay? And she's doing great. For me to take that from her, to explain why I'm angry sometimes, it's not fair. I don't think. So I get stuck. I don't even know how to, I get stuck. I just do my best to explain. I do it on a bigger scale for him instead of an intimate scale. So I say, you know what, Ledge, I need you to listen to me the first time, because if we're in a life or death situation out here in these streets, when the mommy says stop, I need you to stop so that the bullet passes you. You understand? Like, I need you to hear my voice.
I'm gonna see it and understand the situation. You won't. I get that. And the reason why I asked that question is because I feel like one of the things that we do is we set. All right, remember I said earlier, like I'm not my kid's friend.
Right.
I allow my kids to know who I am and why. I tell my kids my childhood wasn't horrible,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't great either.
Mm-hmm.
And here's my perception of that. Because I'm sure shit stink that the people who helped raise me be like, what? I gave this boy, and then I break down my side of the story. And I did have this conversation with one of my aunts. I didn't know my daughter had me on speakerphone, but I was like, yo, you know, your aunts treated me like shit when I was a kid. And I had mad resentment. And I used to fight in school, and I used to do this, and I used to do that. And none of them used to be like, well, damn, he's going through some trauma because his mom not around. He's living with us, and then this and then that. Nobody had that time or wherewithal to have that conversation with me. They just treated me like a bad kid instead of saying, it was something that may not be right. Let's love him, hug him a little bit more. Let's do a little bit more for him because he has a little bit less, right? They didn't do that. It was the man up shit. So with that being said, I had to explain that to my daughter about why my relationships are the way they are. Yeah. And why I want you to have a positive relationship with these people who I don't, to this day, have positive relationships with, because, like you said, they're different now than they were when I was a child. I'm like, they didn't invite me to McDonald's. They didn't want me to go to the park with them because they thought I was bad. But I wasn't bad. I was acting out because I didn't have no mom around when I was 3 years old.
You was hurt.
You know what I mean? So that I explained to my daughter, now that my 9-year-old is getting older, and I mean, she's been smart forever, but now that she's older, I can explain things to her more. And my 17-year-old, I've been having this conversation with her for the last 4 years. Like, your dad is like this because of this. And I know that I have to change. And I have to change because of how I was treated, because it's not fair to treat you the same way, but it doesn't make what you did right.
Right.
I try to let my kids know who I am, because without them knowing who I am, what I do won't make sense. Yeah. And then, yes, I have to explain why my mom is the way she is, why my dad is the way he is. Yeah. Because, like you said, the way I get treated ain't like how you get treated. Shit, when I tell them my grandmother done busted my lip more than once, they like, Nana, get the hell out of here. Like, what?
You know what, though?
My grandmother used to make me go get my own switch, and don't let that shit be too small. She will wrap it around the other one you got to bring upstairs to whoop that ass. Yes. And they looking at me like, nah, Nana. Yes, Nana.
Not the cookie lady.
Right. The lady that be walking around in her slippers and, oh, child. Yeah, she used to fuck us up. You understand? Yes. So you got to understand where I'm coming from, because without that understanding, then it's just, to them, it's just this. It's just this. And the kids are like, well, what are you doing? And it's like, I knew why my mother was the way she was before she explained it to me, because I wasn't stupid. I was smart. I didn't know everything until I got to be maybe about 12, because my mother...
That's it, 11, 12.
Is too candid for my own taste, but she kept it 100 with me. This is what I've been through. This is, and it didn't stop her from being who the hell she was. She just explained it. And I'm like, all right, let me not, because my dad didn't explain shit.
Yeah.
So I said, well, let me take what my mom did and explain, but then let me do better. And I feel like that helps not only foster a relationship with your child, but I also think that it, in turn, helps your kid to make the decision for themselves at some point. Like, I always want my kids to know that I fucked up. Yeah. And here's why. Here's why I messed up, but I always try to do better. You can think that I messed up, but if you see me constantly trying to... My daughter wrote me something for my birthday. And one of the things she said to me was, Dad, I love the way you try to do better. I know I put you through some shit, but you always try to do better. I know that my daughter knows that I messed up. I know my 9-year-old knows that I messed up, but you know what? They know that I try to do better, and they know why I am the way I am. And then they can make their own decisions for themselves about who you are, as opposed to them reacting to what you do.
Yep. I think too, and I love that. I think, and there's two things I wanted to say to that. One is, that book that I wrote behind me. They can't see it on Insta, but my book has my life in it, what I want my children to know. And that's something that I believe they should read when they get older, though, because of the content, right? But then there's also the thing that happened with my son just a year and a half ago, where he met two of the most volatile family members that I have. And I didn't warn him. I didn't explain to him that that could be a possibility. I didn't because they could show up different, because I had that thought that they could possibly show up and be different people. I didn't tell him my interactions with them. I didn't tell him my story about them or any of that. So you're right. And then it's like, but damn, he was only 7, 8. You know what I mean? So for me to tell him this person right here is violent and volatile towards me, and I might flip when I see them, it just was not, to me, it wasn't fair. But because I didn't do it, he's traumatized, yo. He is my son is so traumatized from that encounter, because these are the people who were the most volatile and most toxic and most negative to me growing up. And when I faced them again in my adulthood with the grace that my child was around, like, oh, I'm gonna let this be because I'm gonna let you get away with what you did because my child is here. You know what I'm saying? And they tried that. Like, they were like, oh, you chilling today? Let me try you in front of my son. Yeah. You know, like 25 years of crazy was you know what I'm saying? And my son had never saw his mother like that, never heard his mother like that, but that was a day in the life of a young JoJo. And so for me, this is normal. I will throw this table at you, right? But for him, he was like, my mom, like, oh my God, what just happened? I thought we were family. So you're right. To a certain extent, we should be preparing these children for our trauma, because you just never know when it would pop up, and they have to recognize that, oh, that's her trauma and that's not her. That's the issues she told me about.
And the thing is, and from my experience, is to not give your kids the perception of whether you should like them or not. Because I know my mom told me she don't like somebody, I don't like them either.
Right. That's my son though. He's loyal.
My mom don't like you, I ain't fucking with you neither. So right. I try not to do that with my kids.
Right.
But I try to tell my kids, here's what I went through with said person. Mm-hmm. But and then also protect my kid from the nonsense at the same time. So once I see the nonsense, I shut that down immediately. Like I definitely picked some bones with my aunts about how they treated my daughter, because they treated, even though my daughter wasn't right, she's still a child. She was a child with mental issues. So it was like, you're not gonna treat her like you did me.
Right.
And I checked them. Shit, right. That's a dub. But then what my psychologist or my therapist told me was, you still supposed to check them for the shit they did to you.
I know, right? Dang, you about to make me cry just thinking about it.
Nah, man, I'm over that shit. I'm a grown up. And she's like,
we ain't done fighting for ourselves, let alone fighting for our babies. You right.
Bro, listen. She was like, nah, son, listen. She was like, you protect your kids, and then you let them know you ain't shit because of what you did to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, because one of the things that I think we hold on to a lot is stuff that happened to us. Mm-hmm. And we think we let it go until we're triggered.
Right.
And it's right. You don't want to be triggered in front of your kid. So one of the things that we have to do as preventing that generational trauma is, like I said, your kids got to know who you are. My kids know daddy's with the shits. Right?
Yeah.
My kids know that. Yeah. And I didn't know my kids knew that until stuff happened, and it was like, well, I didn't want to call you because I know how you gonna give it up. And I was like, no, but I'm way more reasonable. And you know
what they said, mommy, because I know how you get.
And the first thing I said to them, you think I'm like your grandmother? And they looking at me like, yeah. And I'm like, nah. And then here we go with that same thing, but it's not that bad.
You ain't seen nothing.
Right. But my mom's have, let me have to throw my mom business in the street. But fuck it, my mom knows who she is. My mom
God bless your mom, yo.
Yo, my mom had whole fist fights in front of my daughter. My daughter on the phone with me like, Daddy, you gotta come here to the supermarket. You gotta come get me. Your grandma going crazy.
It's wild.
I never wanted to be like that, but there was some times where I like had to step in and like I was just telling the story the other day because my daughter, she did like a whole little fancy thing. You know, it was really, really nice. She did it for my birthday. She put like pictures on the outside with like notes and stuff. Matter of fact, she bought me like a whole bunch of bags of chips. I'm eating one of them bags of chips tonight. But one of the things that put a picture up from, I think it was her birthday, and we went to like mini golf or something, and I had to spaz on this lady and told this lady straight up, because you a black woman, I'm not gonna take it to this next level. She was like, I don't know why you're talking to me. I said, you're right. Go get your man. And I meant that shit. Go get the nigga you with to let him know your son pushed my daughter with 2 hands in the back. And you tried to defend him like he wasn't wrong. After I didn't yell at your son, after I said, yo, he wilding. Chill out, bro. That's a little girl. You don't do that to girls. And you want to act crazy? Go get the nigga who want to defend you, because I got hands for him.
Right.
Because and then my other daughter see me, and both of them see me in situations like where like I had to tell a woman, which was related to one of my daughters. No, I told her husband, hey, yo, I'm never gonna put my hands on a woman, but if you don't check her, I'm gonna punch you in your face. Now that's like, you know what I'm saying? Oh, dad be wilding. He take it to the next level. So now it's like a fine line of how do I protect my kids? Because sometimes there's no diplomacy involved. In addition to how do I protect my kids is what image of my kids do I want them to see of me?
Right.
I want them to know that I'm going to defend them at all costs, but I don't want them to think that I'm the guy you can't come to with a problem, because my only resolve of issues is to put hands on people. Right. You know what I mean? That's a fine line, and I have a hard time.
It's hard though, D, because
of how we were raised. Yeah. Because we were raised like,
it's hard.
Yo, how many friends do you have that you had to have fist fights with? Like some of my best friends, we got it on.
Right.
And we just be friends the next day.
That's it. Right. You still mad at yesterday? You still mad at yesterday?
Right, that was it. But it's different for them.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if we fighting our friends, imagine we do it to the people we don't like. It's on site.
Right. That's right.
Oh, you in the bathroom with just me and you?
You only be my friend if I fought you, so I know how you fight.
Right, because if I get jammed up, I gotta know I can trust you. No, they don't, you know, but they're not on that level of thinking. And not only that, keep it 100. That's not how life really supposed to be.
It's not, D. You know what I'm saying? It's not. They actually live in a better life. But you know what I resonate with this so much, because before I left Arizona, my son had he was outside, and you know there was a lady from her window, and she called them all the N-word. Y'all little N children, get up off my lawn. And my son said, don't worry about that, we're gonna go get my mom. That was what he said. Don't worry about it, I'm gonna go get my mom. Comes in the house, mommy, come on. He don't even tell me what happened. Mommy, come on, because I know you. What happened, Legend? Lady upstairs, she called me the N-word. Oh, okay, I'm on my way. Like, I'm on my way, right? Almost got arrested, everything. Cops, everything. Crazy stuff. But the point was, for him, there's only one person in the world who will always be on his side. To him. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so I don't know if I'm willing to sacrifice that so that I don't appear crazy to somebody. Like that, I would rather my son know that his mama will burn a city down for him than for him to think that he couldn't tell me because he didn't think I would believe him, or he had to go handle it on his own because he knew that I was gonna. I have people in my life. I ain't gonna name no names. They know who they are. That everything that happens to us as brown people, they think is a figment of our imagination. That everything that we do is possibly our fault. That, you know, that if there's something that aggravates you, it's probably you. You know what I mean? So anytime you come to them and you say, you know, the person at the store was extremely rude to me. Why do you let that bother you? Just let that go. Why do you let that get? They are disrespectful. Oh, don't worry about that. You're always so dramatic. You know, and those are those people that I never want to be for my son. If it's a problem to you, it's a whole problem. To me and to anybody around me. If you don't feel it's a problem and my son feels it's a problem, it's a problem if he said it's a problem. And that's how I just feel like I ain't sorry.
I will say this. I love all my kids relatively equally.
Yes.
The love I have for them is equal. How I love them is not.
No, you have to love them different.
Chris Rock said something very eloquently once upon a time. And Chris Rock said that he has one daughter that if somebody said that she came to him and said, Dad, he hit me, he gonna kill him on sight.
Yeah.
Chris Rock said that he has another daughter that if he said, Daddy, he hit me, he gonna go to the man and say, but what she did though. So there are some things you have to weigh. Now I got a whole bunch of more. I got a whole bunch. People think I got 10 kids. I'm not Eddie Murphy, but I have more than 2 kids. Like so, me and my 4 kids. But I got the 2 little ones are little. It is whatever. Yeah. But the 2 oldest ones, I ain't not gonna lie to you. My daughter tell me some crazy shit. I have to vet that situation first. So my daughter is no. Listen, I'm gonna keep it real with you. She's manipulative.
I understand. You can't be going to jail over the lie.
My daughter will tell me some shit because she know I'm gonna punch this dude in his face.
Right.
So before I go jump out the window, I gotta make sure. Yes, don't lie to me, baby. No, tell me everything that happened. No, start from the top. I need to hear everything. So I can make this like damn. And then my daughter told me some situations where I'm like, damn. She was dead wrong, but I still gotta beat this dude up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I still gotta beat him up. But my daughter was wrong because he just need to know you can't do that no matter what she do. Right. You know what I mean? But it's still like you in this situation. And one time I told my daughter, like, yo, listen, if I do what you know that I can do, it's not like I'm doing this in an adult. I'm going to jail for putting some hands on a minor. You gotta understand that that's the thing. Right. So now. And it's not like I can just say, go get your daddy, right? Because his daddy's probably like 60. You know what I mean? Cause I'm a young parent. My daughter's born, I was 19. Right. So it's not like the average person that has a 17-year-old kid is not my age.
That part.
They're at least 5 to 10 years older than me on average. So it's like, now I got to fight somebody who's 49. Now, I'm not saying that somebody who's 49 can't give me the business. It's going to be hard, but it's like, you know what I mean? Like, so now I got to fight an elderly person or border or AARP dude, or I got to fight a minor. Right. I'm not Cat Williams, who got washed by that 16-year-old. Like, I'm not getting washed by a 16-year-old. If you play sports, like if you a football player or you wrestle,
you ain't gonna win them all.
I'm coming with a bat.
My point is, like, that's the thing about the real fighter. The real fighter's not scared to lose. That's the problem. It's not about winning. It's about making sure you understood that I wasn't going to tolerate it. It doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter. That's why I think that's what makes people, like, I've only had to fight 3 times in my life. Most of my fights are in my family, to be honest. But my outdoor fights, I never really had to get into. I think it was one of those things where, like, a mouse made a really loud noise and it scares everybody. It's like a mouse and elephant thing because I'm so small, they would think I would be more scared. But for me, it's not about, you could bust this nose wide open, that's fine. I'm gonna go ahead and be there though. I'm gonna be there and let you know that wasn't going to happen without me doing something about that. That's how I am. But there's certain, so it's not about, when we talk about like fighting for things you believe in, it's fighting for things you believe in. And my mother always says this, and she says it about me specifically, is that right makes might. When I'm right, I'm strong. I'm strong in what I'm right about. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. So in a fight, people got to get out of that whole like, oh, you shouldn't be trying to fight everybody because somebody gonna come knock you out. I heard that my whole life. Somebody gonna come lay you out one day for the way that you just keep do it then.
But how we were raised is that you can't be soft because if you consider soft, somebody it's over for you. Once you fool, you fool. And
right. I've always been little and all of that. So it's like we just gonna go ahead and do it until I can't swing no more. Or you going know right now that today you going back down. It's either one of the two. But I'm never gonna say no to what I think is right. So I feel you on that, and you gotta weigh it out. But to me, it's always been whatever's righteous is winning. So if it means I gotta whoop you, then that's what it's gotta do. But I'm trying to be different for my kids.
And that's how you figure out who the real tough people are.
Yeah, man.
Because I've had people try to rob me, and I was tougher than them, and they didn't know that. Mm-hmm. And then they was like, it's not what I meant, fam. Yeah, whatever. I know a jerks when I see one. Anyway, So wrap this up real quick.
Yeah.
You know, over these past two conversations, I want to know, one of the things that you learned, one of the things that you're going to implement, and one of the things that you're going to share with others.
Well, one of the things I learned is what I want to implement, so that'll be quick. So I do think that I want to share with my son where my strength comes from in terms of it being based in dealing with toxicity. I'm going to have to find the right language because I do still stand firmly on sometimes it's other people's business. You know what I mean? And maybe me might want to explain to you what happened. You know what I mean? And you want to give, I want to find the words that give. Yeah.
Sorry. Your story is your business.
Right.
Never forget that.
Yes.
You don't have to tell the stories outside of what happened in your interactions, but even if you have to explain why that person interacted with you that way, because they was high, because they was drunk, because they got anger issues, or they were abused, that's part of your story.
Yeah.
You need to know that too. And if that person don't like it,
then they shouldn't have did it. They shouldn't have did it. That's hard. And that's something I had to teach myself with the book. I stopped promoting my book because there were people in the book who were so offended that I lost a group of friends. So it's like, and now I don't care no more. But at that time, I was like, I can't believe y'all are offended. We talked about this before the book went out. Like, I'm that type of a person where I feel like, if I can do it in grace, I'll do it in grace for you. That's fine, because I'm okay with whatever my truth is. But people hide from the truth all day. So, and that's their choice. So I'm working on but I am going to find a way to explain to my son why his mother will fight for him on a dime. Not because I'm volatile, or not because I love to fight, or I can't wait to get into a fight. None of that. I hate fighting, actually. And I hate causing pain to other people and all of that. But I will do that. So that's what I'm going to take from this is how to speak to my soon to be 10-year-old about what made his mother, what he thinks is his superhero, right? One of the strongest people he knows. So that I'm going to go ahead and figure out how to do that. And what I want to leave with everyone about parenting is how we started is basically what I want to use to come full circle, which is it's just not good enough to not do or to not do what your parents did, or to do better than your parents. That's just not good enough. I think that what's really important, what you said and what I said as well, is that we make sure that we respect our children enough to give them a platform to be heard, so that they know that they can find the words and say them to anybody. If you could speak to your parents about a tough situation, then you could speak to anybody about a tough situation. I think that's important. Finding the way to say that is important, and also understanding the roles. I'm not your little friend. So that's important too. Well, all of that to say that giving your children an opportunity to be who they are, and instead of applying the parenting skills of your parents onto your kids with a little upgrade, is probably the better way to go about it, in my opinion, or at least what I'm making an effort to do. So that is what I'm taking from everything we talked about today. We just can't be the same people in a different time. It's a different time. The 90s is gone.
All right. Lastly, tell everyone where they can find your book.
Yes. Yes. You can definitely still find this great book on Amazon.com. That's just the easiest way to get it. So go to Amazon.com and get I Never Did Like Pink, which is my truth story. But we're also going to be Blacklovesmiths doing all kinds of new things with that. So follow the Blacklovesmiths on everything, especially YouTube. So that's where I'm at now.
Sounds good to me. And you can buy that book right there if you want Spider Manhood at www.devonsword.com. I'll promote it more as April rolls along. But anyway, Johanna,
thank you so much.
I appreciate this conversation.
Yes.
Appreciate you and your story and telling it. And I wish you a million sales of your book and everything else. But
you too, my brother, my Aries brother.
You already know.
Yes, light it up. I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Enjoy your night and your Easter weekend and all that jazz.
Whatever. Right? Yes. Bye.
Later.
Next time on the Blacklovesmiths.
That's great, but I'm pretty sure that all of their ownership, their masters, the quality, everything of it belongs to them. It belongs to them, and that's really important. And as a music artist who understands the business, I'm very cutthroat about my business. I cannot afford to be put in a position like Lil Nas X. Okay? And I need to be clear with you guys. As a music artist, you must be careful about the ministry of music.